Hello Syndicate members, welcome to my new video. So today I'm gonna talk about something called orchestral pop, aka like modern emotional orchestral music. That's what I'm calling. So how I started track was kind of funny because I was making tension drama tracks for this library, and I made this one track which I really like, and I was like so proud. I submitted to them and they were like, no, like there's not much tension in it, so we can't use it. So I was like, oh. So I put that track in my external hard drive, and I made another track and submitted it, and they said okay. And after I finished that album, I came back to this track, and I was thinking I could maybe, make different album with this kind of genre. So that's how I started it, and I made like 5 tracks, and I sent them as kind of like demo, and they said like they really like it. So yeah, this is where I'm going right now. So I currently have 8 tracks of something like this. I need to make 4 more. So yeah, this is orchestral pop music. So when I was making this track, I had to limit myself to only use certain chords that's appropriate for pop music. So no like crazy music theory like modal interchange, like there's some weird chords that you can find in classical music. I don't know. So I didn't use any of those. It's really simple, 4 chords. I only used 4 chords for the entire track. And there's a way to make it interesting with only 4 chords. So I'm gonna talk about that. And I saw you guys commented on my post about ideas, so I greatly appreciate what you guys mentioned there, and I try to cover at least some of them. So I'll try my best. So I'm gonna start with the piano track, because that's where I started it when I was making this track. So as you can see, I recorded like 8 bars each. 8 bar I stopped, I thought about it, and I put new ideas and new ideas, new. Yeah, if you can just see the MIDI map, you see the difference, right? So this is the intro verse, and I kind of like dropped it a little bit, and kind of chorus, but not really big as the last chorus section. And I dropped again because you're going into the big chorus, and 16 bars of big chorus, but I wanted every 8 bar to be different. So as you can see, after that 8 bar, I put like brass and some synths and like percussion loops and other stuff to make it more interesting. And there's a ending. I kind of went back to intro. So this kind of music, I love matching the intro and ending, but like slightly differently. So yeah. And the other thing I want to mention is that when I was making this track, I wanted to have at least 3 instruments that can just individually be a song. So if you just take the piano stem out of this track, that could be the entire song. If you just take the guitar stem out of this track, that's a song, and also the strings. So I was focused on those 3 instruments. So I started with piano, guitars, strings, then I put some percussions, and I added synths after that. And there were some like empty spaces. I filled them with like other elements like impacts, like low booms and sweeps, risers, and all that good ear candy stuff. So that's how I structured this song. And I put this reverse piano like right before I started mixing, because I thought the beginning was kind of like empty, and it kind of felt weird just starting with like chords. So I put this. So the intro piano sounds like this. because I want to explain something here, so I want you to listen this for a while. Yeah, I forgot that there's an air conditioner going on background. I just turned it off, so you're gonna have less noise right now. Yeah, so there are 4 chords, completely like pop sounding chords, and there's a one note I keep playing, that's A flat. So this song is in a key of A flat major, so I used 6-4-1-5 chord progression for the beginning. You can find A flat from each chord. So the first chord is F minor. So it has A flat in it, and then the next chord is D flat. It also has A flat in it, and the next one is A flat major. So obviously A flat is the root. And then I went to E flat sus4. It has A flat in it. So that A flat is called common tone. So if you can find common tone from your chord progression and just repeat that, and that's a really good way to just have, I don't know, it's a simple, but it sounds really good. And after that, I needed some like different ideas for the verse, so I kind of went to like arpeggiated piano, but same chord progression. And after that, I kind of went back to the previous common tone idea, but now I used a different common tone. And instead of doing 6-4-1-5, I started with 4, so 4-5-6-1. So I used E flat as the common tone. That E flat, E flat, E flat. So yeah, and also I want to mention this. There's a kind of thing. You know, you can also layer them up with the bells, and it sounds more interesting, in my opinion. So yeah, it's people used to ask me like, how do you layer up different instruments? And yeah, it really depends on your purpose of doing it. So I kind of wanted to emphasize those little thing. It's kind of really good ear candy effect. So, and also you can layer them up when you want to emphasize the melody line. So after that, something like that, I wanted to emphasize that, so I layered them up with synths. So then mini chorus section, I went back to that common tone idea again, but in a different octave. So this one is higher octave, but this one is yeah. And after that is the B chorus section. I went to a triplet piano thing. So now the piano part is kind of repetitive, right? So that's because I wanted to have other instruments play the melody. So because, you know, this one was the piano was taking the melody, piano was taking the melody. So let's go with the strings here. So just like playing the chords, but in a different way. So it's not really boring. It's not just like bum, 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 right? So this triplet right hand piano thing idea is completely new, so it's good, but it's same chord progression. So this is how you can make things more interesting with what you have. And also I edited some velocity. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's a little bit different. The top note is a little bit stronger. So you can hear like ba, 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 instead of just like all three notes. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so da, 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 da. So that's how I did. Like you need to fix some velocity in editor. So if you can do it live, that's like perfect. But like even I try to do that in real time, I still had to go and fix some of them. And after that, I went back to the original idea with the common tone. Because this kind of music, I love matching the intro and the outro. But outro is slightly different and like definite ending. So this track is kind of like melodic, not like really beat driven music, so I wanted to end something like this. Of course, I have other instruments supporting that ending, so it's not that empty or, you know, too focused on high frequency or something like that. So that's my piano part. I finished that before I did anything, so I had this whole track, just the piano. It's a complete song. I can just like use this. And then I went to guitar. So before we go to guitar, let's talk about piano more. I used this one. This is a really like cheap piano library compared to others like Ivory 2, Keyscape or anything. This is only $69. It's not cheap, but like cheap compared to others. I love this piano because it sounds really modern, and this is a Yamaha C7 sound. It sounds a little bit cheap than Keyscape Yamaha C7, but it has like really good modern vibe. So I love using it over Ivory 2 or something like that. And also, the problem of Ivory 2 piano is it's really hard to mix with other instruments. Ivory 2, it just that's like the best standalone piano library out there. Still, I know it's like 15 years old, I think. But yeah, for this kind of music, Cinematic Studio Piano is the best, I thought. And I used like plugins and reverbs to make sound huge. So yeah, without the plugin, it sounds like this. More obvious section. And also, this kind of track, I wanted to have piano more like, I don't know, have stronger piano. So it's a slightly, the volume wise is slightly over than other instruments, and that is intentional. I wanted to do that. I wanted to have the piano just like popping out. So that's what I did. So let's go to guitar. So I set, the three instruments. I wanted to be able to use them as like individual like track. So this is the guitar. something like that, and I think this is wrong. And the chorus. Yeah, and I know that our previous mentor, Greg, loves using MIDI guitar, and me too. These are amazing. Electric guitars are electric sunburst. This is incredible. You have like so many different patches and sound, and you can also use that patch with different sound of your choice, and you can experiment like lots of things, and it's amazing. And acoustic is strummed acoustic 2. So the difference between strummed acoustic 1 and 2 is 2 is not really an upgrade version of 1, it just has different sounds. And some of the strum patches sound really realistic, so I love it. So this is what I used. Bass, I used this Scarby J bass from Contact. I'm using that until I get something better. I'm not saying that this is bad, but there's definitely a better choice. Yeah, and that's the guitar, and here's the string. I'm just gonna play the big section. Yeah, strings I used, you know what I use by at this point, always Cinematic Studio strings. And you can layer that with the one in Omnisphere called Adagio Transparent Strings. It makes sounds fuller. It supports the entire string thing. If you use this I don't know, it's like the volume is really low, but I can still hear it, and yeah, it kind of supports the other strings really well. And I also have solo viola. This is Cinematic Studio solo strings. This I had mixed feelings about this, but you know, there are 4 strings, a string quartet. The viola sounds the best, so I use a lot of viola solo patches for different songs. And usually this string, like Cinematic Studio strings, doesn't sound really like big and reverby-ish. It's because I put like a lot of reverb, because the song title is City of Light, and I wanted to make this track like sound like dreamy and, you know, kind of something like that. So we're gonna talk about this again, but I love using RC48 reverb from Contact, and there's a string ensemble. I use that for strings. I put it around like -9 to 11-ish. Yeah, that's actually a lot, but I thought that is appropriate for tracks like this. And piano is also the same reverb that I used. It's called Grand Piano if you go to large, Grand Piano. So if you have Contact Ultimate 9 or 11, you probably have this. Yeah, you probably have this bass guitar too. Yep, that's how I did, and after that I went to percussion. I love using Hans Zimmer percussion. So this is what I did. Something like that. And I used two separate instances because I wanted to mix differently. Because the first one is focused on more like lower frequency, the hits. The second one is more focused on high and mid, that more rhythmic thing. And I also used Action Strike from Contact, just to have this nice shaker thing going on, so this can help making this track more driving. So it goes well with this too. And I didn't want it to be repetitive, so I also put the trailer hit, kind of like impact, and put the samples. So yeah, when I put this, I took out the first hit of this patch, so it doesn't overlap the low frequency. It's gonna peak. So yeah. So I think percussion, well, other instruments too, but panning is really important. So I always do this. It's like I love having like big hits, like slightly left or right. I don't have a like background theory that can support that idea, but it just sounds better to my ears, and it just sounds better to me when I mix. So I don't really have an answer that why I'm doing this, but I love doing this. And also, yeah, and the distance is really important. So if you listen to this too, so this is both left side. So why it's not right, and why did you have both on the left side? Because if you hear this, because this patch was already like kind of like panned to the right, so I kind of wanted to make it to the center a little bit. Also, to my ear, this sounds kind of like further than this. So even if both samples are to the left side, it's like the distance is different. So I wanted to have this shaker to have right side, and maybe this can go to the little bit to the right side too. So yeah, panning, you have to, if there are like 100 people in the room, you don't want them to all stand in the center, right? Some people just go to left side, go get your drink. Some people go to right side, go get your food, and something like that. So it's not that crowded. Now you have this big room, you don't want everyone to stand in the center. And with the cymbals, you can create something like this. Okay, I wanted to talk about this later, but since I played it accidentally. So this is the trick that I use a lot. So I didn't actually use this timpani roll for this track because I already used that like for other tracks like so many times. I remember someone asked, how do you make like really like big transition effect in orchestral music? So there's a simple answer, that timpani and cymbal, and also risers, yeah, and big hit when you go into the downbeat. So I'm just gonna play this. So everything. So going into the big section, Yeah, and also you can automate the percussion a little bit, so it starts kind of soft and it goes bigger. Yeah, and I didn't use this because I'm using this a lot. So many times, not for this track. So after that I kind of went to make some ear candy stuff, some synth. Yeah, everything is from Omnisphere except the one bell that's from Serum. This is a kind of like default patch if you go to plugged big bells. I love using that with something called Airplane Community Box in Omnisphere. It has nice bell sound and it sounds better together in a different octave. Something like that. Big bells. This big bells is really big, actually really big. And it's good, sounds good. And I have horns because the second part of the chorus I need something like some new ideas, so I had to put something new. And horn I used unfortunately I used East West EW ones because I still don't have Spitfire ones, which I want to get. Display horns are really dry, so you need like huge reverb. I used the same reverb that I used for strings, RC48 string ensemble, like same patch. Without the reverb, with reverb. Yeah, it just makes huge difference. Yeah. So yeah, structuring your song properly, and every 4 or 16 or 4 8 16 bar you want to have different ideas. That's how you structure your song. You either take out some of the things that you used or add something new, right? So I have intro verse, drop, kind of like chorus, drop, chorus, ending. So depends on that, I added something down here. So piano was my kind of like foundation, and then I added on the top of it. So, and I used a lot of like booms and impacts and stuff like this. Yeah, which can help building the atmosphere of the song. So sweeps and like booms, hits, and I said high top, but yeah, it's like clap, impact, clap. And as you heard this before already, the trailer hit. And I have this nice cool timpani rolls that I found. I love using it. Yeah. And sometimes you can use that together with the boom and, you know, sweeps. And sweeps followed by bass drop. I love using them. So yeah, that's how I made this track. So yeah, really simple 4 chords, but you can do lots of things with those 4 chords. So you're not limiting yourself to the ideas, because sometimes less is more, and only 4 chords you can just like, you know, if you know the theory a little bit, you can just like experiment so many different things. so going back to the piano, so common tone, arpeggio, like another common tone but different common tone, arpeggio, common tone, and triplets and rolls at the end. So that's from a that's a perspective, piano player's perspective. But if you're a guitar player, you can probably start with the guitar and you can add something on the top of it. So yeah, I'm just gonna play the whole track and I'm gonna briefly talk about the plugins and other stuff, and I'll finish the video. So after all that, this is how it sounds like. I was listening to the track and there are a few things that I want to tell you. Just things just came to me. So, for example, building up the song. So the verse, you don't want that, like you don't really want like huge sound, right? So I was for strings, I was focused more on viola, cello, like those low strings, and the violin 1, 2. These are actually violin 2, because I copy and pasted and fixed notes in the editor. Came out later, something like that. So keep that in mind when you build up the song. You don't want to start like high. So usually high notes, those are more for dramatic chorus, and like in the later of the song, you don't want to start with that. So that's that. And also when you layer the synth sound like this, each one has like individual, like the strong frequency, right? So if you want, so when you mix those, if you boost like 1K for all those three, it's not gonna sound good, right? So if you like 1K sound from this patch, you probably wanna cut like 1K a little bit for this and boost another frequency. So yeah, I had to spend some time to go through like all different sounds to properly layer up and properly mix. So those are that. And so kind of like orchestral elements, orchestral sound, I always start with clariphonic after I mix. So this actually, like the name itself, it gives you like a lot of clarity of your track. So if you have this and if you like using this, you probably don't want to boost like high frequency like over 1K in your instrument mix, because you're gonna get a lot of clarity back at the end. So if your mix is not good enough, if you use this, it's gonna sound really terrible. So always mix first, like, you know, until you get the right sound, then put this. And I have ozone. Yeah, sometimes I don't think exciter and both, you know, exciter clariphonic using both would be a really ideal, but I thought it was really good for this track. I wanted that certain sound. That's what I did. And I used reverb on the bus so I don't have to overkill my CPU. And put like orchestral track and synth track differently in a separate bus, so I can do some things that I didn't do much. I just like boost a lot, you know, just a little bit, and cut a little bit of frequency here and there. And I, for orchestral percussion tracks, I put the compressor on the bus so I can just like use the, because I know that what I'm using, and I know that I'm gonna be using that compressor for every single percussion track. So I did that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so this is the orchestral pop track. It's really fun to make. Orchestral stuff with like a lot of pop elements and like kind of like pop sound, but it's also an orchestral track. So yeah, please let me know if you have questions in general or about this track. I'll be happy to answer them. So okay, see you guys later until the next video. Bye.